Hi guys, Brexiteers and the far right in Britain seem to have a love-hate relationship with Germany. Whenever they want to say something bad about the EU, they point the finger at Berlin. Whenever a right-wing party does well in the country, they will cheer them on and talk about how the European state is heading down a righteous road. So when the news dropped in the Telegraph that Germany was considering not just copying Britain's failed Rwanda scheme, but using some of the housing earmarked for Britain, the usual suspects were beside themselves with joy over this. Here the former editor of the Scum gave us the news. Have a listen.
I do want to move on because I'm almost out of time, but Germany, everybody, look, we live in a clown world. This is just further proof of it because everyone's been crying about the Rwanda plan in this country, so much so that the Labour government, of course, have scrapped all of that. Now, you'll never guess what. Tell them, Kelvin.
Well, Germany has now opened negotiations with Rwanda to take over the very buildings which our taxpayers, you and me, and everybody watching this show have actually funded. And that is honestly a new low. There's been a series of lows. The Labour refused to believe that it would be a deterrent if we send even 30 people to Rwanda, right, no matter what the cost. So they said, we're scrapping it. We will now never know. So Labour look more humiliated than even the Tories for spending sort of $750 million on it.
Quick reaction from
Calvin, here's my prediction. There'll be more members of Olaf Scholz's centre-left coalition party that will get on a plane to go and inspect those facilities in Rwanda than they'll ever be able to deport people out. And that's the fact of it, because Germany's also part of the European Court of Human Rights. Yep. And there will be a pajama in.
So it never happened.
Going out. Never happened.
Well, just.
And they'll pick up more money.
Okay, it will never happen because it was a stupid idea. I don't think it will happen, or if it does happen, it will not be the same as the British Rwanda scheme. Now, Kelvin MacKenzie here, from former editor of the Scum, says, this is a bigger embarrassment for Labour than it is for the Tories. How is that possible? The Tories came up with this idea. The Tories said that Rwanda was safe, even though the Supreme Court said it wasn't. 3 people went to Rwanda voluntarily, and Labour decided, look, it's a waste of money, and it's not actually a deterrent, so we're getting rid of it. And it's not a deterrent. It was never a deterrent. Who did it deter, Kelvin MacKenzie? Who? Can you point them out? Because the numbers of people crossing the channel increased when the Rwanda scheme was in place. So it was not a deterrent. It was never going to be a deterrent. We're talking about a maximum number of people going to Rwanda. The Rwandan government said that it would be capped. So while some Tories were saying we're going to send 40,000 people there, obviously that was a lie, because the Rwandan government said we're not going to take 40,000 people. So it was a failure before it even began. And even frontrunners in the Conservative Party now used to call it something that I can't repeat here. But is it going to work in Germany? Is Germany actually going to copy and paste what the Rwanda scheme was? I don't think so, for a number of reasons. First of all, Rwanda is not a safe country. The UK Supreme Court deemed it unsafe. They said there's no evidence to support the idea that Rwanda is a safe country. And if you look at Rwanda, you can see that there are people escaping Rwanda, arriving in Britain and being granted asylum. So if people are being granted asylum from Rwanda, then obviously Rwanda is not a safe country. So the Home Office doesn't think it's a safe country. Tory MPs think it is. Who are you going to believe? So if Germany were to try and copy something like this, it would run into the same problems. I don't know whether it would get it through its parliament. Maybe it would. Maybe it wouldn't. But even if it did, it's going to run into the same problems with the Supreme Court in Germany. So they're going to say this is unlawful. You can't send people to Rwanda to be processed, to make an asylum claim, and for them to stay there. Now, something different could happen. It could be the case that people will be sent to Rwanda to be processed, and then if they're successful, they will be returned to Germany. But that's not what the Rwanda scheme was. The Rwanda scheme was a sort of send people there to be forgotten. That was another problem with it. So it's possible, like other European countries, to do offshore processing where people are sent to another country, they're processed, and if they're successful, they return to the host country. But that's not what the Rwanda scheme was all about. So at the moment, it hasn't been tested in German courts. It hasn't even been voted on in Parliament. So it's a bit up in the air or pie in the sky to suggest that Germany is going to copy Britain's scheme, when anyone with a functioning brain can see that the British Rwanda scheme was a joke. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.